Good morning and welcome to Politics on Tuesday. The focus is on Nikki Haley. Let's discuss her political campaign, shall we?
Television's best-known judge, whose real name is Judith Sheindlin, waded into the race on Sunday when she campaigned for Ms. Haley at rally in Exeter, NH, albeit minus her trademark gavel and robe.
While former President Donald J. Trump enlists several former rivals to help him deliver a closing argument to New Hampshire primary voters, Nikki Haley, his last remaining Republican opponent, has approached a different kind of bench. Judge Judy.
Chris Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, is introducing Nikki Haley here in Salem, NH, with a kind of frantic energy. "Republicans, we're tired of losing. We're tired of losers," he said.
I'm also at the swanky Artisan Hotel in Salem for Nikki Haley's rally. The ballroom is at capacity and the overflow room is jam-packed.
Our first heckler of the night. A man shouts from the back asking Nikki Haley, "Will you marry me?" She responds, "Will you vote for me?" He says no, and that he's voting for Trump.
I'm in Laconia, New Hampshire, where people have been waiting since this afternoon to get into Donald J. Trump's campaign event, his final speech before the primary.
In the middle of her standard foreign policy remarks, Haley took a beat to thank Don Bolduc, a retired Army brigadier general and her state campaign chairman.
Haley has ramped up her hard talk on immigration in recent days, in a state where the majority of Republican primary voters cite the issue as their top concern.
A small comedic moment from this Haley rally, where Nikki Haley just said that winning the Republican nomination is going to take courage from everyone in this room and in the overflow room. After a short pause, a very distant woo is heard from the overflow room.
Nikki Haley keeps her speech short tonight and wraps up to a couple chants of "Nikki, Nikki." It's quite the stark difference in fanfare from Donald J. Trump rallies.
Kari Lake, a Senate candidate from Arizona who is often on lists of potential Trump running mates, just took the stage at Trump's event tonight.
Representative Byron Donalds of Florida told the crowd at the Trump event in New Hampshire not to worry too much about Nikki Haley because she probably won't be around too much longer.
Holdouts among top Republicans for Mr. Trump are few and far between. Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the Republican minority leader, has yet to endorse a candidate.
"America doesn't do coronations. We believe in choices," Ms. Haley said. "We believe in democracy and we believe in freedom. I have said I love the live free or die state, but you know what? I want to make it a live free or die country."
Ms. Haley, who has long cast herself as underestimated in her political career, is using Mr. Trump's flood of endorsements to position herself as the political outsider, something once seen as appealing about Mr. Trump.
Three of Mr. Trump's former 2024 rivals for president, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, Governor Doug Burgum of North Dakota, and Vivek Ramaswamy, the biotech entrepreneur, have also lined up behind him.
Former President Donald J. Trump has received a flood of endorsements in the final countdown to New Hampshire's primary, as his allies argue that the 2024 Republican nominating contest is all but over.
Ron DeSantis dropped out of the presidential race and endorsed Donald Trump yesterday, but that didn't stop him from just taking a jab at his former rival.
When asked if he would consider running on the ticket with Donald Trump, Tim Scott said only that he would do what it took to help Trump cross the finish line.
Burgum, who endorsed Trump after dropping out of the race, said he was not eyeing any cabinet positions. "Our job right now as Republicans is to make sure that President Trump wins the nomination," he said.
Doug Burgum told me that he thinks Trump is in a better position to win over independents than he was in 2016 and 2020, arguing that concerns like the border, the opioid crisis and public safety have become more important to most Americans than in the past two cycles.
Trump, in his last speech before the New Hampshire primary, tells supporters here in Laconia that their votes are a signal to Biden of what's to come in November.
Another protester briefly interrupts Trump.
Trump just took credit for the recent rise in the stock market, saying, "Literally every single time you see good polls coming out, the stock market goes crazy." Economists generally credit the Fed's promises of coming interest rate cuts.
And of course, somebody shouted VP from toward the front of the crowd as Trump was lauding Ramaswamy.
"It's amazing how you can like someone when you win," said Trump, praising his new friend Vivek Ramaswamy, who endorsed him after losing the Iowa caucuses.
This speech is a reminder that so much of Trump's political career has been built on saying that the country is terrible, and that the only moments when it has been great in the last decade involved him.
Haley appeared to have been almost an afterthought at this rally, unless I'm missing something.
On the last day of campaigning before the New Hampshire primary, Nikki Haley dashed from event to event.
Haley mounts last stand in New Hampshire against an ascendant Trump.
Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida suspended his presidential bid after a single contest. Former President Donald Trump engaged in a year-long campaign of emasculation and humiliation against DeSantis. Trump's relentless attacks were marked by personal insults, including questioning DeSantis's masculinity and loyalty. Trump's chief spokesman, Stephen Chung, frequently led these attacks with harsh and personal rhetoric.
Despite being a fierce political brawler, DeSantis refrained from fighting back against Trump's assaults. The attacks from Trump included unfounded insinuations about DeSantis's sexuality and personal character. Trump's campaign against DeSantis included the use of his online influencer network to create derogatory content. DeSantis's campaign was marked by a lack of effective online strategy in comparison to Trump's operation.
Trump's continued popularity with Republican voters posed a significant challenge to DeSantis's campaign. DeSantis's campaign suffered due to his inability to effectively counter Trump's attacks. The personal nature of Trump's attacks created a challenging environment for DeSantis in the Republican primary.
With DeSantis gone, what are some of the factors operating against Donald Trump this time?
Trump is often perceived by Americans more as a vague figure rather than a concrete personality. Trump has suggested authoritarian visions for his second term, including advocating for full presidential immunity.
There's significant opposition among Americans to Trump's claim of full presidential immunity. Trump has made racially tinged remarks about Nikki Haley, suggesting she is less American.
Trump's remarks about a judge's Mexican heritage in 2016 were widely seen as racist by the American public. Trump has confused Haley with Pelosi and others, potentially undermining his perceived mental sharpness.
Trump's off-the-cuff style and actions, such as taking classified documents, often create problems for him.
Many Trump supporters believe he did not take classified documents or try to overturn the 2020 election.
Trump's indictments could reduce his general election margins by up to 14 points.
Trump's current favorable rating is higher than most of his presidency.
Nikki Haley generally polls better than Trump in general election matchups with Biden.
Trump's support appears to have a ceiling in the mid to high 40s.
Trump's political track record is poor, with losses in popular and electoral votes in previous elections.
Well, that's it for your morning political update. Have a great morning.